If you've driven down Grant Street in downtown Pittsburgh recently, then surely you've noticed dozens of tents set up across from BNY Mellon. The group is part of the Occupy Wall Street movement. The demonstration is now into its second week. Members say they intend to remain there, living out of their tents indefinitely.
And similar setups like this one have been going on in cities all across the country. But what is the movement really all about? And what does it have to do with you and me and you? Here to answer those questions with us this morning is financial planner and good friend Rob Wilson. Rob, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you guys.
What's going on up there?
Yeah, what are they doing? What do they want?
Well, I tell you what, I think first of all, whether you agree with the Occupy Wall Street protesters or whether you agree with the Tea Party or some other group, you know, I personally think I'm happy that people are engaged. I think it's important for us to feel like our voices can be heard, that we can make a difference. And so if these sort of protests and demonstrations allow us to begin a serious conversation about what people are worried about and even afraid of, and if we can talk about what's going to make the country better for all of us, then I think overall it's a good thing.
And it is doing that because we're talking about it now.
You're right.
Here we are.
So
You're
that's
right.
good.
So you're not threatened by these guys?
I'm not, and I wish, you know, some other folks in the media, I know you guys aren't doing this, but saying that, you know, we're just not sure, we don't know what they want. I think we do know what they want. There's enough signs and websites out there. You know what, this is kind of like when a man, you know, has a girlfriend and he clearly knows that he's messed up and he goes, what's wrong? You know what's wrong, okay? So, you know, she just kind of gives you that look like, you know, you know what you did.
Do I really have to tell you?
Right. You're just not sure how much information you want to give up, so you want to see what she knows. By the way, I've never done this before. My friends have told me about this, but I think we really do know what they want. I think the first thing is they want to try to reduce the corporate influence that is currently exists over government. And so, you know, the corporation can contribute a lot to the political parties, and, you know, maybe the decision making is slanted a little bit more towards companies than it is towards individuals, and so I think they would really like to reduce that. They also want to see people held accountable for folks who were responsible for the mortgage crisis. Now, I think individuals have to be responsible for taking out more of a mortgage than they could afford, but when you have 60 Minutes come out and talk about all of the mortgage documents that were forged as a part of these foreclosure procedures, I think they're saying, hey, I think some people on the other side are culpable for this as well, and so I think they want to see that. And the last thing is, I think they want to try to end this notion that companies are too big to fail. If we don't get rid of these 20 or so companies that we've got to bail out if something happens, then we're gonna get ourselves in a situation just like 2008 all over again.
We're just going to keep bailing them out forever.
It's just going to happen over and over again. So I think they want to see some real change happen with that.
So a lot of people might just go, oh, whatever, why should I care? But you say we should. I
think so, and I think at the heart of all these protests, again, Occupy Wall Street or Tea Party, it's really all about fairness. And I think sports is a really good metaphor for this, because anytime you have companies competing against each other, it really is kind of like a football game. And can you imagine a football game between the Steelers and the Ravens if there was no referee?
No.
So I think government
it would be a hockey game.
Right. You've got two teams who really just want to rip each other's head off. And all they care about is winning and getting to the Super Bowl, and that's what happens in business. You know, companies are competing, they only want to win. Government has a role to play in terms of playing that referee, just making sure. I don't think the Occupy Wall Street protesters are jealous of the rich. I think they just want to make sure that there's a level playing field, and I think that's where government has a role to play. I think all of our safety is at stake here. We all have a self-interest in their people having jobs and being able to make a living wage. Because as you have less jobs, you know, crime tends to go up, and so I think we all have a stake in people having jobs and being able to make money. And the last thing is the economy. We've got to figure out what to do with our debt, how we're going to pay for Social Security, Medicare, all of these things we have a stake in. I think these are all important issues.
Is that debt something that we can ever shake off completely? I mean, look at Europe and their situation now. Are they ever going to be debt-free over there, Rob? Or?
You know what? Those issues are so complex, and there are multiple, I think, of the issues that we had here. But if you think about it, you know, early, I think around in the 2000s, in the Clinton era, we did have a surplus. And so I think if we get our budget act together, we can go there again. But here are a couple of the things that I think that we should do next, because you mentioned that. Occupy Wall Street is great, but I think one of the really things that you want to do is occupy the polls. And I think the folks who are protesting should really think about, you know, they say they represent the 99%. Well, what if 100% of the 99% actually showed up to vote? You know, what kind of change could they influence then?
Big difference. Yeah.
I think they should think about occupying an office. If you don't like the candidates and you think that, you know, they're really just thinking about the corporations, then I think you should run yourself and see what kind of change you can make that way. And the last thing is occupy the boardroom. This is really sort of a battle between individuals and corporations. If you work in one of these companies, you want to really make a change, rise up in the company that you work for, or start your own, and you can really make a difference.
Great advice, Rob.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for having me.
And financial advisor Rob Wilson is here with us for Money Monday, every other Monday on the show. And you can find Rob at Blazer Capital Management.